HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on YouTube. That's where you're going to find us. Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. With your host, Komp, and
Lava.
Today's film is
Last Night in Soho 2021.
Last Night in Soho, 2021. An aspiring fashion designer is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s where she encounters a dazzling wannabe singer. But the glamour is not at all what it appears to be, and the dreams of the past start to crack and splinter into something darker. Directed by Edgar Wright, written by Edgar Wright, based on a story by Edgar Wright did the story. Christy Wilson Cairns did the screenplay, starring Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Matt Smith, as well as Michael Ajao. So, Danny, why did I pick Last Night in Soho?
Do you think that this was Matt Smith, like, as he was the doctor, and then he, like, took a little time travel to the 1960s to be a pimp?
He was like, "Where's my timey-wimey?" And it turned out to be like a big butcher knife. He goes, "I'm gonna kill whores." He goes into his TARDIS.
He's wearing a fez. He's wearing a fez the whole time, too, and, like, all kinds of, the TARDIS is, like, flying around, but it looks like a dildo to blend in with the surroundings.
And the TARDIS constantly falls on young British women, crushing them and stuff like that. So I picked Last Night in Soho because it is the newest film by director Edgar Wright. Obviously, he did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, he did At the World's End, and he also did Baby Driver. He's one of my favorite directors. That's obviously Scott Pilgrim versus
Baby
the
Driver?
World. Yeah, Baby
I feel
Driver.
like I've heard of that.
It was a movie that I think it has Kevin Spacey in it, so Kevin Spacey might have signed on without even knowing what the script
It's
was.
like a drama, right?
Yeah, it's like an action. It's not a drama. It's like an action movie. It's good,
Okay.
but it's like my joke was that Kevin Spacey signed on to it not knowing what it was just because it had the word baby in it. He was like, "I gotta do this movie," because that's a pedophilia joke.
Yes.
So, I think the world of Edgar Wright. He's obviously a super movie nerd. Like, he's one of those people when they interview him on podcasts, he'll be there for like 2 hours and shit. When people usually like
He
use
wrote
20 minutes.
Ant-Man.
He
Oh my
did.
God.
He wrote a version of Ant-Man, not the sanitized version that's in that ended up coming out. What happened is he worked on Ant-Man for about two or 3 years, actually maybe 10 years. I don't know. He was working on it for a long time, and this was at the very beginning. And he did the test film. You know how that awesome effect of Ant-Man running around, jumping, and then shrinking while fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, he came up with that, I think, visually. But Kevin Feige obviously came in, and once the Marvel Universe started coming together, then he started putting, he was like, "No, you can't do this, you can't do that." And Edgar Wright was like, "Fuck, I've been working on this movie for 10 years. So, believe me, an Edgar Wright Ant-Man movie would have been, I bet you, 1,000 times better than the Peyton Reed
I
movie.
liked the Marvel Ant-Man, but
It was fine. It's fine. It's sort of like a good Marvel movie is just sort of a good movie. Do you know what I mean? Like even Shang-Chi, which I thought had a lot of cool stuff in it, it ends up always being sort of the same movie. But I enjoyed Shang-Chi. The fighting in it is incredible. It's the best fighting in any Marvel movie I've seen in a long time.
I finally saw that.
Oh, you like? Okay,
really
good. So I really enjoyed it, but they follow a formula to be safe. So I think the new Spider-Man will be interesting, at least, because you know how they say that all 3 Spider-Men are going to be inside of it and all that stuff. But it's going to be the same fucking movie, Either way,
we'll see.
Edgar Wright, obviously, Shaun of the Dead is one of the top 10, just any genre movie for me.
I love that. I was
time.
picturing, the scene where they're singing to the zombie and they're going bada 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 bada, and then
White lines.
I was picturing if they like randomly threw in something like that here, but like
nah, this one's like straight up like non-comedic at all. But
obviously there is actually like zero comedy in this movie.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is a brilliant movie, and it took me a couple of times actually probably twice to watch Hot Fuzz to appreciate it and really be like, damn, that was a great movie, because I was like, I was just putting it against Shaun of the Dead, and I'm like, Shaun of the Dead is just so fucking good, and then like his output is different. Like Scott Pilgrim versus the World I love that movie. That movie is great. Nobody else saw it, and it's gotten like a cult status to it. Baby Driver, I liked. It's enjoyable. So I would say anybody to watch any Edgar Wright movie, but apparently whatever. So now this movie, Last Night in Soho, is his tribute to giallo films, and it's sort of like how *Malignant*. People said that was like a giallo film, and I can see some of it, like a lot of it being giallo. I didn't think about it until like he actually the killer in the movie.
I mean, this is definitely like a mystery movie feeling.
Yeah, it feels like an old school movie. But like in *Malignant*, I didn't really feel it was giallo until they had like him putting on leather gloves. You know what I mean? Because that's like a staple in that type of film. But with this film, it was sold on. I was like super excited because I want to see an Edgar Wright, like a proper horror movie. And this certainly is like. I
don't know if I would call this a proper horror movie.
Well, the latter half of it. I mean, it's a specific type of horror movie. I liked it. I wasn't jumping crazy over it, and I'll explain why. But it's still heads above better than most horror films that are coming out, I think.
That's true.
Because there's one thing that Edgar Wright does with his crew and cast is that they do not fuck around with a polished product. And it's not polished that it's like it feels like every movie that came out, like let's say like a Marvel movie, like it doesn't feel like you're expecting to see something that's there. It's polished in the fact that the editing is fucking incredible, the cinematography is incredible, the acting is always good. It's always like he never does anything wrong editing wise. Like I like whoever edits on his films, I wonder if he does the editing or if he has somebody with him. But they're like the most solid edited movies of all time.
Paul Matchless.
Yeah, if you ever so then you're great. If he did the other films, but if you watched like Scott Pilgrim,
he did Scott Pilgrim,
right?
And,
Scott Pilgrim versus the World is one of the greatest edited movies I've ever seen ever. And like I edit, so like I pay attention to that stuff. But obviously anybody can appreciate how fluid these movies are. Did you ever get to see Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
I still haven't.
Okay, I think you would really love that movie. It's right up your fucking alley. Believe me, you would love it. Okay. But Shaun of the Dead had fantastic editing. You know, they did a lot of the the Evil Dead stuff. You know, when like just picking up a phone.
No, I love Shaun of the Dead.
So he does a lot of smash cuts and stuff like that, and he's able to adopt that material into his own. But he doesn't rely on it in this one. Like he might have relied on it in the Shaun of the Dead films, but he didn't like drag that across Baby Driver or something else like that. He's good at like transitions and stuff like that. So once you see an Edgar Wright movie, you can tell what it is, but he's not reusing a lot of shit, even though he did for the Cornetto trilogy, which were the.
They really like nailed the feeling of the '60s here. This is great.
Yeah. You were in the '60s. You lived in the '60s.
Yeah, no, I was there. Yeah, so I was one of the guys in the thing, and then after she died, I was reunited with a new body.
Were you walking around in your t-shirt and boxers going elbows?
Yes. Well, I had assless chaps on, but yeah, same concept.
Just saying that reminds me of did you ever see The Simpsons where I think Lisa was having a dream of the Beatles, and the Beatles were the Yellow Submarine, that cartoon movie that they had?
I love that movie.
It was the worst Beatles accents, and like the overproduced type of accents, and like the thing fucking like their ship crashes or their submarine crashes, and it's going underwater like sinking, and they're like elbows. It's like the worst. The worst. The only other worst one of that is Walk Hard, which has the Beatles, which I tell you to always see that movie. It's great. Anyway, so this movie is about a young aspiring fashion designer. She's played by Thomasin McKenzie. I'd seen her face. I was like, where do I know this woman from? And I realized she was in Jojo Rabbit, the movie with
okay.
What is that? Taika Waititi. That's like a name you hardly can forget. The director, obviously, of Thor, The Dark... No,
she's from New Zealand. Okay.
Well, there you go. I thought she was British. But she played a young girl in that, but I think she was playing like a teen in that movie. So that's why, in my head, when I was watching this movie, she looked like a kid to me.
Well, she is, basically. She's 21, so...
Okay. So, but she looks radically different when she gets her hair blonde. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, she does, like, do, as the kids say, a glow-up. But she's playing this girl, and... she's playing this sort of mousy young girl who lives in the countryside of England, and she lives with her nan, and I guess obviously had passed away. Oh, her mother had committed suicide, right? We find out. Yeah, this is spoilers, guys. I don't think it's gonna be a very long episode, but it's gonna be
her mom is super hot.
The redhead lady.
Yeah.
And just climb into that coffin. You might like what you get.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably in hell because she killed herself.
That's right. So she is this mousy young lady. She's doesn't know the world outside of this little country living area. Obviously, she had a relationship with her mother where her mother was very disturbed because she was able to, I guess, see ghosts or something like that. And her and her nan her nan thought it was more just a mental illness than an. I think the nan thought it was a gift, right? I don't think they treated whatever they had like a...
The nan kind of talks about it as if it's real. She doesn't seem like she's crazy.
So her mother obviously wasn't with them anymore, and the father's not in the scene. I don't know if they explain what happened to him.
Oh wow!
And see, enjoying the Thomas and Mackenzie material. So she gets this grant, or she gets accepted to this big fashion school in the UK, in the cities, and this is in the '60s in England. And I was listening to Edgar Wright talk about it.
Well, no, it's not the '60s yet.
Oh no, she's in the current, right? Sorry, she's in the current era, and she's this is how fucked up my brain was. She's in the current era now, so this year, like 2020, 2021, or I don't know, because there's nobody wearing.
That's how you can tell, because they have cell phones.
Luckily, only in this film, you're not reminded that people are wearing masks and having fun. Not that I'm not saying I'm not anti-mask. I'm just saying you can escape the world as is in movies because there's nobody like keeling over in the street in this movie. Unless it's Matt Smith doing it.
And if you had to choose between being haunted by ghosts in the 60s or now...
Ghosts by 60s sounds pretty good to me. Yeah,
me too.
So she goes to the school and she goes... And you were telling me that it was like realistic, the portrayal of the college girls treating her like garbage because she wasn't cool.
Yeah, people suck, man. And they're always going to be mean to like people who are innocent.
Yeah, so she is her roommate, well played... Well, very well bitchily played. Who's the actress that plays her roommate?
She's a real asshole.
Who's that character? It's Jocasta, played by Sinove Carlson. She's this like very scary. Not as an unattractive, but like scary as in just boisterous personality. She's a party girl. I did see one piece of humanity in her when she reveals to the other girls that her mother had passed away. Died. And you could see that shot on her face. So Edgar Wright is good at like giving everybody some realistic moment, even if she's sort of like a one-note character. He gave her at least that little shot of her going, "Oh fuck," that kind of look on her face. But these are people that are in a business or trying to get into a business that is simply just aesthetics. You know what I mean? And college, honestly, is.
The fashion people were always like the biggest assholes.
I was not around in because
school,
Danny and I went to the same school, and like it was 3 divisions. There was the fine arts people, the fashion people, and then sort of the illustrators. And you and I were in the same side of the building, and then the fashion people on the other side. I never really like spoke to fashion people. Like
I interacted with them once in a while, and they were like mean.
Well, I mean. I don't know. Well, like all I know is that that school had the best dressed people I've ever seen. I was the one that wasn't dressed well. You could tell the difference between the illustrator students and the fashion people, because the illustrated people were just like fucking art bums, and then we would walk around and you see these people wearing like.
I was walking around in like pants that were like filled with paint to the point that they could like stand up on their own.
They're like,
and like all my clothes was just covered in
and
like
you see
paint.
These girls wearing faux Givenchy kind of clothing. That was just me trying to say that phrase out, or Balenciaga or whatever clothing these people fucking wear. I don't even know what those things are. So yeah, she really feels out of it. She gets to the point where like I don't want to fucking live in this dorm anymore because her roommate's like fucking somebody the next night, and she's like, I this is too much for me.
That was very funny, actually. That's the one comedy in the whole movie, I would say, when she throws the thing.
Yeah, she's a very delicate girl. So she decides to find a flat, and she has to obviously get job. And I was laughing again. I was like, oh yeah, people work to like make money, because I know I do that as everybody else does. So she finds a flat with, I think it was Diana Rigg, the lady who owns the house that she was going to move into. She gets one room. Diana Rigg was she was famous for being on this show called The Avengers, not The Avengers with Captain America and all that shit, but The Avengers was like a British spy series.
I mean, she kind of plays the same role in this movie.
Yes,
The Avengers.
She was super hot, like in The Avengers, and also she was that really cold ass like bitchy, this was her last movie. She was in the Game of Thrones. You know the one that said, "Tell Cersei I did it." The one that, yeah,
That's
her.
her.
She
I
was.
didn't
I
even
love. I
realize.
fucking
Oh,
that
shit.
character was so fucking dope. Like I really liked that
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
Diana
she's
Rigg
great.
really went out, and she did another.
Yeah,
Tyrell, yeah,
Olena
she
Tyrell.
was fucking great in this too. So like everybody in here is great. And another supporting character is Michael Zhao as John, who's the most punished character in this movie, because he seems like a.
Yeah, I feel bad.
I
for
always
him the
feel
whole
bad. I
time.
really always feel bad for like characters that are like they're like nice guy because he's like a really nice guy. He's like the soft spoken nice guy. You can tell that he's really taken with her. And she's just like Looney Tunes because of everything that's happening to her. Like she's not Looney Tunes on purpose.
He's probably been warned. About
Right,
it.
right.
Like I can, and it's just like at one point he's running across glass, and it's like, oh, this poor
You-
guy. Like he just wanted to
like you
kiss
and
some
I,
girl.
if we went on a date and a girl did that, we'd be like, all right, bye. Like we wouldn't even try. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here.
I might try to help,
She's
but I
super
don't know
hot,
if
right?
I'd be like. No, I mean I would try to help, but I don't know if I'd actually
No, I tried to help
pursue it
too,
any
but
further than that one day. Like if I ran out of a house with glass going in my foot, I probably.
but then
wouldn't
also
talk
towards
to
the end, it
them
made me
next
feel
time.
really super sad because I remember seeing this in movies because I don't know. I don't know, like when when somebody stabs you on the side, because I've seen this in other movies before, where the character like will survive but come back and they like have to walk with a cane permanently. And I just saw that. I don't think if you can.
Oh, if it
Yeah, I
hits,
don't know
it's
if you can
fine.
notice, but I noticed it at the end that he's walking with a cane at the end, and I was like, it bummed me out. Like I was like, I just felt so bad for his character that he like. I mean, he was happy, he was smiling and everything, like his
Yeah, but now he's
yeah,
doing
yeah,
his
yeah. Let's hope
love.
she doesn't get too famous.
And he'll probably be
Let's
rich in
hope
the
so.
future.
Well, he's a fashion guy too, so you know he'll do his own thing. But anyway, I jumped way ahead. So Danny, what happens when she begins sleeping in this one bedroom?
Well, I guess now that we kind of know the movie, I would say that she was seeing, she was using her ghost seeing powers, like sixth sense powers.
Not on
to,
purpose. It just happens, I guess. Yeah.
not on purpose, to tap into the ghost of this old lady landlord's past that was being shown by all these men.
Yeah,
ghosts
and we
that
certainly
lived in
didn't
the
know it was her.
floorboards.
And the lady,
I didn't
and
expect that at
Miss
all.
Collins,
actually.
who's Diana Rigg's character, tells her that a lot of people have, they don't stay here long in that room, and so we're led to believe.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not you're not necessarily have to be psychic to see these apparitions that are going on. It's the fact that
there's
that
like
she's gifted.
a million fucking people in her floor.
Right.
Basically.
So I'm sure these other people who weren't like gifted psychically like she is, they just saw fucking like ghosts and they were like, "Oh, fuck this." So like how they always say a lot of people have theories about. It's funny just to say a lot of people have theories because it's probably total horse shit about ghosts being like suspension of time, like a loop of an event that happened over and over,
Yeah.
and so.
That they have to fulfill this thing before they can.
Yeah,
go
they're
on
just
or
kind of
whatever.
stuck in
Yeah,
this
I
thing.
forget.
And then there's also people who think that ghosts can be just the world is shifted, so like dimension,
I ain't
time
afraid no
shifts,
ghosts.
stuff like that. And yeah, what the hell is that voice? So she starts dreaming of what, and what character specifically is she dreaming about?
She's dreaming of Sandy, who is the landlord's younger
Anya
version.
Taylor-Joy, and we don't know that yet until the very end. I kind of figured that
we don't
was
know that.
at the very end. I figured that lady had something to do with it because just from seeing what was that movie, Hot Fuzz, when all the old people, because he gives these old people like he makes them lethal in these movies, and I was like, she's probably the bad guy.
I mean, the way she backsmacked her in the face, that
Yeah.
was pretty like badass.
So-
I did not. I had not until the second that she said that they showed the tea that I understand
see.
what was happening.
Did
I
you like that?
not
Did you
think
enjoy that was
case.
the case?
Yeah, I liked it. I do have problems with the movie. though.
Before we get into the problems, let's talk about Anya Taylor-Joy as Sandy. She's super. This woman is very talented. She's super talented. She obviously has a very good singing voice because when I saw the trailer for the movie and they did the.
Yeah, that was her singing.
They
right?
did the
Like,
song. I don't know why I'm blanking the name of the song, but she sings the song in the trailer, and I was like, oh, that's her. I was like, oh shit. So she like really is like one of those.
She's in The Witch.
Yeah, obviously
also.
in The Witch. I thought she was a child in The Witch, but I guess she was of age.
She was a child. She is a child. She's like.
She like 20.
20. She's 25. Okay. So The Witch was like 5 years ago.
So she.
No offense, 20-year-olds listening to this, but that's kind of very.
And young. She was in that hit, The Queen's Gambit, which is about chess, which people tell me is great, but I don't know if I can watch chess shows, but I'll watch it for her. And a lot of people online lovingly call her.
Yeah, why would you want to watch a show about
a lot
chess?
Of people online, they lovingly call her their alien foo. So that's like because
she's gonna be Princess Peach in the upcoming Mario film.
And Chris Pratt's Mario, and they're not gonna do the stereotypical Italian voice. So a lot of Italians got mad that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are upset about that. I don't care.
I
mean, just whatever. The video games.
I'm just picturing Chris Pratt because you need like an older guy to do Mario's voice. But I guess if you're gonna go try to make millions, you can have this guy do his voice, and
he could do a good job. Who knows?
So we are also led into seeing Matt Smith. Obviously, Danny has a man crush on Matt Smith because he's the. What was he the?
He's Doctor. I mean, he is my favorite Doctor.
Why is that? Because he was kind of wacky?
Yeah, he's just really funny to me. I just love him. I don't know. But it's weird. I had these roommates that used to watch that show, the whatever, the Royal Family one. I can't think what it's called, The Crown. And he's in that.
He's playing Prince Charles, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I kind of didn't really watch it too much, but whenever I was eating dinner, they'd be sitting in the living room watching it. And, I mean, it's weird seeing him as a not funny role, although I'm guessing the majority of his roles are probably much more serious.
Yeah, I think he's like a serious actor. I think he just...
So I really only know him as his exception
actor. If we weren't actors and you got offered the job of fucking Doctor Who, you'd take it. You know what I mean? People are like,
he's a great Doctor Who.
You get some street cred. That's like Christopher Eccleston did it for like one season and just sort of left it alone because maybe he was just sick of people. And
I mean, the same thing with David Tennant. He plays like a villain and shows.
Yeah, because you got I guess it's like.
But he's
it's like James Bond. Doctor, once you play James Bond, people always see you as James Bond, and you can cry about it forever. Like Pierce Brosnan sort of got out of it, but people look at him, he's fucking James Bond, and I'm sure the same thing's gonna happen to this guy, the most recent James Bond. It's like it's job Daniel security, Craig. But
but he's been in some other big movies like Dragon Tattoo and shit like that.
Made no money. Unfortunately, that was a great movie. Yeah, it is.
It's a good movie.
And so Matt Smith is playing this hustler named Jack. We don't know he's a hustler yet, but she's trying to make it big in the 60s. How would you describe the look of the 60s London in the 60s?
It looks like I want to live there. It's
really
cool.
Beautiful, right? It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, I've never been to London. I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I would love to visit London. Yeah.
I'm assuming New York named Soho after the London Soho, obviously.
It's south of
York,
south of Houston, south of Houston Street. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but maybe
maybe they have their own Houston Street.
True.
I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful look. It's sort of like I didn't take the time to appreciate how it looked in the late '60s of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is I really like that movie. It's a rare movie I see twice. And I enjoyed it. I read the book in between seeing the movie, and
You're so different than me. I watch movies like 10 times.
I know. I'll watch the fucking...
And you remember way more than me, too. I don't know how you do it.
I'll watch The Fifth Element 100 times. So there's certain movies that I'll watch over and over, If it's on TV, I'm like, I just don't turn it off. But, with this, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think Edgar Wright was talking about how he dealt with putting his set like this when he visited Quentin Tarantino's set. And you could just see it's a beautiful looking, it's just a beautiful looking area. And we don't really spend that much time outside of London, but the shots that we do get are really gorgeous looking, Art Deco.
Even the library
material.
He found was amazing.
It was interesting. It was interesting because, like you and I, growing up in the '90s, we'll see this type of stuff in the '60s, and I'm sure people who were, aware of the '60s when they were growing up, light up when they look at it. So, when you and I see vintage photos of the 90s, or even the early 2000s. I love it. Looking at that stuff there, for some reason it reminded me of Virgin Megastores in Manhattan.
Oh.
And you, I know,
Just
just
made me
saying that made me sad.
Come on, man.
But like you'd think of like Times Square in the
Tower
late '90s and
Records and
2000s,
shit,
yeah, all
man.
that
Like, oh my
beautiful
God.
like, and they still have.
I used to go to Tower Records like once a week and just spend like an hour like walking around and shit. Like
Right.
I love that place.
It's just really beautiful aesthetics, and they have all that digital billboards now in Manhattan and Times Square, but it's not the same. There's just something about it I can't like. It's just something
Yeah,
completely
everything
different.
sucks now. I don't know if that's me being a cranky old man or if it actually just sucks. But
It could
whatever.
be both. It's both. Specific also for me, obviously. So anyway, Matt Smith is this guy who shepherds her into, I guess, trying to be an idol or something, as they say in Japan, of a woman who sings, and gets her career in the early '60s of England or London.
But it
And,
turns out he's a pimp.
Yeah, he's a pimp. He's a guy that
He's big pimpin'.
moves these girls around. You would think like a girl that looked like Anya Taylor-Joy and had that talent and was like hungry for it. Like he doesn't really give a fuck about getting somebody famous, right? He was like, well, this is gonna be a top dollar girl for me. Like he doesn't care. Like if I saw Anya Taylor-Joy and like she was like that like talented, I'd be like, well, fuck, I might actually try to be her manager and get her work.
Well, that's
but
not his business, and also
Right.
he's catering to like rich people that go to that club, so probably they're paying like $1,000 each or something. You know?
It was all a scam and setup when that old guy was flirting with her and he punched him. I thought it was like he was actually defending her honor, but I guess it was just I just thinking about that right now.
Was the other guy in on it though?
I think so
Probably.
because he ended up fucking her. I think that guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, how about a little bit Jolly Roger and Governor?
They had
That's
a
my,
very
English
big
accent.
red herring with what's his face. I can't think of his name, but the cop guy that you didn't know was a cop.
Terrence Stamp as silvered-haired gentleman.
His name is Lindsay, I think.
Yeah, it's very nice that they made him a giant red herring because you think it's Matt Smith when he's older.
It seemed too obvious to me.
Yeah, I think so
that
too.
was
Yeah,
him.
because once you saw that part with the girl, like when Sandy was sitting with that guy who was a vice cop.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, that guy looks more like Terrence Stamp than Matt Smith does. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're led to this. That to me, this is my biggest fault with this film, is that I think we don't see enough of '60s London. I was more interested.
I thought we got a nice taste of it.
I think that surprisingly, you're gonna probably be like, what? But I think that Anya Taylor-Joy and Matt Smith are underused. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is used enough to sort of get this sort of fantastical idea of this woman. She does like she's like a ingenue. She's this larger than life.
Really quick though, do you think after the cop guy, Lindsay, gets hit by the car, do you think that he was like, instead of dying, he went into a triangle and was floating through outer space?
What?
Because he's
Oh shit! I didn't even think about it. Yeah, you're right. He's Zod. I didn't think about that. That's funny. Oh, that's good. They caught me again. And he's there with those two people. I think that they're underused. Like I wanted more of them. Matt Smith certainly was fucking underused. Like he just played like a
Matt
like
Smith could have been a bit more, but I think the girl was like fine. The level.
I wanted to see more of her acting. I don't know what it is. I think it's like we have sort of marquee actors. 'Cause that was my only thing. I wish they had more of them, and I wish they had given them more to do. But I understand you have to keep them at arm's length, because if you knew what the fuck they were doing, then you'd figure out what the spoiler was. That that she actually killed him, which my friend was confused at, because you obviously see her get killed by him in the bedroom with the knife. So you think, okay, so that guy killed her. We got to figure out who this ghost is.
Yeah, what was that? Was that like her?
No,
ghost?
because
like
they try to explain it away off at the end that, oh no, those men killed me every night in that room. Like they killed her spirit. So what this girl saw was, I guess this was a psychic. This lady's past
analogy.
was so
It was a
strong.
psychic analogy.
Because I don't think those men. I think the ghosts of the men obviously existed. But I don't know why they would help, fuel the idea that guy killed her. Like, they would be like, listen, this bitch killed us.
They could have been more upfront, and they could have been like, help us, like, immediately.
Like, the part when they're chasing her at the end, like, I'd be like floating the phone towards her. Like, I wouldn't chase her to scare her, It's like you would like, hey, look, there's a phone, call the cops. This lady's a fucking murderer and stuff like that. But I thought that stuff, like, to me, like, the horror stuff wasn't really scary to me. I enjoyed how it looked, and I love the guys' faces disappearing when they're walking around and shit like that, and they just change and morph. Like, that's a gorgeous looking stuff.
I think they use a little too much CGI. Maybe.
Yeah, it's super CGI heavy.
Which I don't like, but
I thought it worked for the guys' faces. I thought that was pretty cool, because I hadn't seen that in a while. I'm sure there's plenty of movies that do that. But that was my big beef, is that the horror stuff for me didn't stick as well.
Also, it ends like very... There was one part at the ending that was like, alright, like, I don't know. It was a little
What
silly.
is it? What happened?
That, like, everything is so perfect at the end. Like, it's fine if they keep the kid alive, the boyfriend alive. It's fine that she had a show. But even that girl that she almost stabbed in the face with scissors was, like, congratulating her.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that, like...
It's like a little silly. It'd be like, something should be wrong.
Yeah, I thought that she was going to have, like, her whole life, like, fuck up after she tried to stab that girl in the face. Because, I mean, I mean,
I'm glad she didn't, but, like, something definitely should have...
Yeah, because then that girl got humbled, I guess. Or something.
Yeah.
But, like,
also,
they would kick you out of university.
Her outfit that she wore the first day to school was so much cooler than what she made for the final show.
Yeah, but that's to show, how people are, like... It's a classic.
I get it. That's why I'm not a fashion person.
It's like the classic Faculty movie. You saw the Faculty. Oh, we reviewed the Faculty.
Yeah.
Where all those kids were they're themselves, and at the end, they turned out looking like everybody else at the end, which I think was supposed to be ironic. I hope, but I don't know if Robert Rodriguez was working that way. Like the girl with the black hair, the goth girl turned like blonde at the end. It's like, what the fuck? Like, be yourself, dude.
It's not really scary. I mean, it's not really a horror movie. Although I have to say, at one point, when she's in the club in the ghost paint and like starts having a panic attack, like I actually started having a bit of a panic attack, because like seeing people have panic attacks sometimes sets off panic attacks in me. So it was effective for somebody losing their mind feeling.
Yeah, I had read articles before I saw the movie, like non-spoiler articles, and they said, oh, it's a very dark ending. But I don't know if they meant because you see her ghost at the end in the mirror of the girl.
Yeah, but that's not dark.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
like,
dark at all.
good.
I think they might have just thought it was a prostitute killing all the Johns and shit. But like, unless those guys obviously must use prostitutes a lot or something.
Imagine now every time she has sex with somebody,
in a
you
mirror,
see the ghost like sharpening a knife in the background or something.
That's true. That'd be interesting.
The landlord was able to see the ghost at the end, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I thought all around, I think it's a good movie. I don't think the horror aspect works as well, but all around aesthetically,
it's like a drama.
Yeah,
a weird drama.
Which I think probably Edgar Wright would think that we're calling the movie a complete failure, but it's not. I enjoyed the movie.
It's not a failure. It's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's just not. Didn't get my horror.
Yeah, this is
going.
like the scares here. Now that I was thinking about talking about it, reminds me of the Blumhouse kind of scares, like the Conjuring kind of scares, like that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like there's a
over
little
the top,
like
with
the scary parts.
Yeah, like the over the top. You're gonna be scared because it's faceless men chasing you, type of shit.
Things grabbing you and stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
so it's very Blumhouse ghost kind of stuff, and I can see that from Edgar Wright's aesthetic and the type of films that he likes. Like it's sort of he likes
like
that
all the
classic
stuff around that. Like the story was great. The acting is all good. The music is great. The whole set is amazing. Like everything else is good.
He does solid movies, and I think this is another solid movie. I think the fact that it's sold, that it is a horror film. Like we can say, oh, it's not that scary, but it is sold as a horror film, and it is intended to be a horror film. That I think that the horror aspect is the least of the movie. What rating would you give Last Night in Soho? And also that fucking song at the end is great. I love that Last Night in Soho song. It's like an actual classic song from the 60s.
Yeah. Actually,
and he took that footage of this was during the pandemic they were filming it, because I think they had to take a while off and then come back to shoot more of it. So he actually took shots of like London or London when it was empty because nobody was there. So that's why you see.
That's cool.
That's why you see. No, it's not cool. You see those shots at the but I understand why you think it's cool. But at the end, you see like these empty streets, and you hear that ominous song, and it's like really fucking. It's a really good fucking like.
Also, they use Susie and the Banshees, which is great.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What rating would you give Last Night in Soho 2021?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Basically being responsible for this cop getting killed by a car, but now it's okay because he's floating in space with his girlfriend forever in a triangle.
I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. Falling asleep. Thinking you love Anya Taylor-Joy's character Sadie so much that you actually change your hairstyle and everybody loves you. So it makes you realize, don't be yourself. Be like Anya Taylor-Joy. And with that, Danny...
Who's a serial killer.
Danny, what's the final word?
Ribbed phone case for my pleasure.
The Horror Deconstruction.